Today, I want to go over a little bit about all the different ways to prospect. I'm sure y'all know, and I've said this before, there are so many different ways to prospect in real estate. And my biggest thing is finding a handful and going all in on them. And so I think this is good for you guys because y'all probably wonder, like, hey, how do I even find clients or prospects or leads and turn them over to clients and get them to the closing table? So for the guys who aren't in real estate yet, or you don't have your license, this is good. For the guys who do have their license, some different ways you could prospect that maybe you're not doing now. And we'll briefly go on them. So I have about what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 ways of prospecting. So if you ever get to a point and you're like, how do I get clients? I'm not getting clients. There's really no excuses. You have 13 ways to prospect. Now, are they all the easiest? No, nothing in real estate is easy. And if you're expecting to join real estate and everything be easy, I got some bad news for you because you're in for a rude awakening. But all of them are doable. I do a lot of them. There's some that I do more than others. But for the most part, there's a couple that I haven't really dipped into. But for the most part, I'm kind of dipping into everything, but there's some that I really dip into a lot. So the first one, and I'm sure y'all wouldn't be surprised on this, but it's open houses. So number one is open houses. Y'all have heard me talk about open houses before. Feel free to write this down, guys, as a list of what to do. I think it's always good to reference. But open houses, let me admit these people. Open houses are a great way to prospect. I've said it plenty of times before on why they are. Essentially, there are more than likely qualified buyers. And my favorite ones are the qualified sellers or the nosy neighbors who get there. And a lot of them who show up to your open house are more than likely looking to buy a home sometime soon, or they have some thoughts of selling. It's a great way to get contact information, especially from sellers. If you have nosy neighbors come in, gosh, take full advantage of them and talk to them and get contact information, put them a part of your database, and stay top of mind with them, because whether that's in the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 10 years and they want to sell, they already kind of know who to go to. And there's so many different ways to stay top of mind. And like I do pop buys for like holidays. We have our client appreciation parties for pop buys, like for 4th of July this year. I dropped off 4th of July baskets to all of my past, current, and then prospects that I'm trying to turn into clients. And it's simply like a basket full of 4th of July goodies and stuff. And for this year, for what the next one's Halloween, I'll probably do like a candy basket or something. And then in November, excuse me, we have our client appreciation party. And so there's just different ways to stay top of mind on there. But open houses are great. You can meet a lot of qualified buyers, qualified sellers. But you have to know what you're doing at open houses too. And we can do a separate training on that too as well. I can do another one. So another thing to do, number 2, is circle prospecting. Circle prospecting, there's different ways you can do it. There's one that I like to call bullseye prospecting, which is basically you're picking up the phone and you're calling the neighborhood to let them know, hey, your neighbor's house at 123 Main Street sold for this amount of price in X amount of days, and getting contact information from there. I'll do one that way. One I'm doing today actually is I'm circle prospecting a neighborhood that I'm trying to farm. And we'll also get into farming today too. And that's when I simply go around the neighborhood and door knock and hand out flyers to tell the neighbors, hey, your neighbor's house sold on 123 Main Street for X, Y, or Z. And I print out these little flyers that kind of have my face, contact information, some pictures of the home and stuff like that. And circle prospecting is a great way to leverage your listings too. I hope all of y'all get some listings in the future. That's where the money's at. I'm sure a lot of people tell you it's better to work with sellers rather than buyers. You can work with a lot more sellers at once than you can buyers. But if you can really leverage your listings and you can pull more business from one listing, because if you get one listing, the goal isn't just to sell that house and you go about your merry way. It's to try to pull business from your listing. So for example, my last listing from last week, I not only pull business at the open house, but my plan is to pull business after the open house too, whenever I go around and circle prospects. So I circle prospects, I put about 50, 60 flyers. I door knock to the neighborhood. Hey, you're invited to the open house. Once we go under contract, hey, we're under contract, passing around flyers again. And then once we close, hey, we also closed on this house. And for this one, if we do close where I think we're going to close at, it's going to be $10,000 over ask. And what's awesome is if you're circle prospecting through door knocking, that's 3 points of contact that you're making with those neighbors. And then there's also another point of contact if they pick up the phone when you're circle dialing. And if they come to your open house, I mean, geez, that's 5 points of contact to where they're like, well, dang, like if he's doing all this for this listing, if I want to sell my house in the future, I would want to use him because look how much he's promoting for his sellers. I would want him to do the exact same thing. So circle prospecting is another way to, a great way to prospect, whether it's dialing or it's door knocking. Like for example, today, the house that I'm door knocking for or the neighborhood, I didn't sell that house, but all I'm doing is going around sharing the news to the neighbors. The reason I'm door knocking in that neighborhood is because it's a little bit closer to where I live currently, and I want to kind of farm that neighborhood so I can start pulling business from it. And so that's another great way for prospecting. Now, when you go and door knock, what you have to remember is it's not an instant gratification, just like a lot of stuff in real estate. It's not like they're going to say, oh yeah, we want to sell our house next week. Come on in, do a listing appointment, put your yard in your sign in my yard. It just doesn't work like that. A lot of circle prospecting is getting contact information, staying top of mind, and eventually doing business with them in the future. I mean, a lot of times too, I'll circle prospects and they don't even answer the door, but if I leave a flyer on there, I've had in cases where they reach back out to me. So a lot of circle prospecting is you're going to constantly do it and you're going to feel like you're not getting any results from it, but you just need to be patient and wait. Just like anything in real estate, it's a 30, 60, 90 day plus business. So just keep doing it. And sometimes I haven't had it happen to me yet. But sometimes you might get lucky and say, hey, we're actually looking to sell our house in a couple of weeks. We're interviewing agents now. And a lot of sellers will see that, what is it called? That you're out there door knocking because a lot of agents don't do it. And they get a lot of respect from that because like I said, they want to know that you would do the same for them. So I've gotten a lot of contacts where they're like, hey, I want to sell in a year. Hey, I want to sell in 2 years. And they're just in my database and I stay top of mind with them. I follow up every so often to where when they are ready to sell, they already know who to go with. So circle prospecting is another great one that I use all the time. Another one is networking. So I'm sure y'all have heard of networking before. There's so many different ways to network, whether it's formal, informal, whether, I don't know if y'all have ever heard of a BNI. It's business networking, innovation, business networking. I forgot what the I stands for. But they have that all around the US. I used to be a part of a BNI where I was trying to launch my own chapter. Let's just say it didn't go as planned. Trying to launch your own chapter is a little difficult, but it's a formal networking group rather than an informal one. Could be going out to a bar or going out to restaurants. There's an agent in New York City. I can't remember her name, but her primary way of prospecting is going out to bars and just telling people that she's a realtor and getting business from that. And so it sounds funny, but there's people that do it. It's funny. I was at an Astros game Sunday and I was just looking around the stadium. I was like, there's at least one person here who needs to buy a house. Now, are you going to find them? No. But I always tell people, don't be a secret agent. Tell people that you're in real estate because you never know who needs to end up buying something. I carry around a ton of business cards. I'm that guy that's just handing out business cards to my Uber, to anybody I know. So, and I'm working on getting one of those that you can like tap on the back of your phone and all your information comes up, so they can follow you on Instagram and stuff. So networking, whether it's a formal or an informal way of doing it. There's Chamber of Commerce, there's BNI, there's so many different networking groups you can join. Or this is one of my favorite ones. You can start your own that costs no money because BNI costs money. And you can start a Facebook group within your community. So you can say, hey, trying to keep our money into XYZ neighborhood. We want to create a Facebook group for strictly business owners or strictly people who live in this neighborhood, and you're going to run the Facebook group. So you don't want another realtor in there, but you want to be constantly posting in there. You want to have other business owners in there to where y'all can all kind of pass each other business, and they know you as your neighborhood realtor. So that's another great way to do it. Or if you already have a Facebook group within your community, trying to join that and just posting there as a realtor. The only downside to that is there's a lot of them out there already, as far as neighborhood Facebook groups, and I'm sure y'all know, or y'all been a part of a Facebook group. There's usually a moderator, and if you try to sell something, they're not going to allow it, or they're just going to delete your post. So if you want to start your own Facebook group and there's not one for your neighborhood yet, I highly recommend it. And be the local realtor for that group. So another one that you can do. Anyone have someone say something? Sorry. No? Okay. Sorry about that. Another one is events. So, oh my gosh, there's so many events you can do. Whether there's a guy on my team, and he hosts events for his neighborhood. So he's known as his neighborhood realtor. And he lives in a master plan community to where they had this big event going on, and he put out a table with his logo, with our team logo. He had a snow cone machine. Kids are getting snow cones, and why the kids are getting snow cones, he's talking to the parents. And gosh, he does amazing through that. I mean, he pulls so much business from his neighborhood. And if I ever got a listing from his neighborhood, he'd probably be pretty upset, because he's like, I did literally everything possible to be the neighborhood realtor. So that's a great way to do it. I'm working on right now to partner up with one of my loan officers, because my uncle and my aunt uncle are both teachers at one of the biggest high schools in Houston. And we're working on getting breakfast for all the teachers. So hosting events, as far as that, you can host events. We have like one of the girls on our team, she's an instructor at the YMCA. She got all of the instructors together to do headshots. And then through there, she's like, hey, I'm also a realtor. And she brings up that as well. So hosting events, I mean, you can do a wine night for all the moms in the neighborhood if you live in a neighborhood. For if you're a guy, we're probably not going to do a wine night, but you can figure something out to do for all the dads in the neighborhood, whether it's like getting together to do a football game. I mean, there's so many events that you can do to pull business. I always say, if you are going to do an event, find a way where you can pull someone's contact information and follow up with them. Now, you don't want to ask everyone who comes up there, what's your name, phone number, and email so I can follow up with you. But having a way for them to sign in to where you have a way to follow up with them, whether it's email and phone number and name, that's kind of the three main things I would say to get. And if you don't have a way to follow up with them, or you don't have a way for them to sign in, you're still going to find someone who goes up there and, yeah, we've had thoughts of selling, and you can naturally ask for their email or phone number. Another one is your sphere. I'm sure y'all heard of this a lot. As far as your sphere, I always tell people, as soon as you get your license, I call it, or my coach calls it, top 100. Figure out your top 100 in your sphere who already loves you and wants to bring you business, to where you don't have to convince them. I know they already know who you are. They already know your intentions. So calling on your sphere and prospecting within your sphere, it's something I need to be better at. Unfortunately, with my sphere, they're a little bit younger. I got to remind you guys, I'm only 22, and most of the guys in my sphere aren't looking to buy houses, but a lot of them are looking to rent. So if you rent, help them rent, and then you stay top of mind, they're going to probably use you to buy. So, but not just calling on your friends, calling on your family, calling on your friends' parents. I mean, anybody and everybody through in your sphere, because you have your sphere, and then you have your sphere, and then you have your spheres, and then it just keeps compiling. So calling on your sphere can pull a lot more business for you. Another one that I'm huge on is client care. I mean, geez, like I said, we do pop-bys for all of my clients. The goal with real estate is you don't want to be prospecting every single day for the entirety of your career. you want to have a client and then have them bring you referrals and rinse and repeat, to where eventually most of your business is going to be referral based. I listened to an awesome podcast yesterday, and I'll have to send it over to the Slack, of a lady who gets 95% of her business through referrals. And it's the amount of care she does for her clients, the very first meeting she has with them, all the way through the transaction, and then after the transaction. So like, for example, whenever I do when I do listing appointments, I'll go on the listing appointment. Usually afterwards, I'll either mail a card to them saying, hey, thanks for having us over. You can put like $1 scratch off. You can do a Starbucks gift card, but a lot of times I'll order Tiff's treats to their house the next day and be like, hey, thanks for allowing us to stop by and taking some time out of your day to meet us. Instantly, they're like, oh, okay. I mean, cookies right there. And then another one, whenever we actually go take pictures of the house, I'll drop off one of our team's mugs, and I'll put some chocolate in there, Starbucks gift card, and like, hey, congrats on the photos. Here's go get some coffee while we're taking these photos with that Starbucks gift card. And then something I want to be a little bit better about is doing a gift while once you go under contract, and then doing a gift after you get past inspections and appraisals. That's something I haven't done, but when I was listening to that podcast yesterday, I was like, oh my gosh, that's a great idea. So, I mean, there's so many touch points of, really treating your client just throughout the transaction, and then doing a closing gift as well. We have closing baskets for our team, but I always order dinner from my clients that right after they close. And so I order them like pizza for the entire family. And I've had every single one of my clients reach out to me and say they want to take me out for dinner sometime soon, and we just haven't got to it yet. But what I'd love to do is, instead of ordering pizza, taking that family out for dinner, because you can build more rapport, build more connections, and get referrals from them. And so don't just focus solely on client care as like, I need the referrals, but if you actually do care about your clients, they'll see it. I mean, I've heard of realtors that, they'll call their past clients, hey, what's going on? And they're like, oh, we're going to Disney World next month. And they're like, cool, what hotel are you staying in? They tell, oh, we're staying in this hotel. Oh, I've heard of that hotel. That's awesome. And then they'll call Disney, the resort, and be like, hey, can you prepare this bottle of wine and put it on that hotel in their hotel room for when they get there? And then they get there and there's a gift from their realtor saying, oh, enjoy this bottle of wine. And it's so small, but oh my gosh, like, if someone did that for me, I would be like, what the heck? Like, that's awesome. To where the time where their friends or families, hey, do you know an agent? They don't even know who to think of as far as who to recommend them to as a realtor. So that's another great way. It's not necessarily prospecting, but that could somewhat be a form of prospecting. Another one is online leads. Online leads, I know that a lot of y'all don't really have access to them, but if you do get access to them, it's a great way to pull business. Online leads you do have to pay for. I know a lot of people that spend excuse me, a ton of money on online leads. It's one of those love-hate things. I know people who do really good at it. You just have to know what you're doing. You have to make sure that you follow up with them consistently. I mean, every single day until they pick up the phone. I dip in online leads a little bit. Our team gives us online leads, but they're not my favorites, just because you don't really have too much control over them. It's more of, hey, here's a lead. And online leads are very cold for the most part. A lot of them aren't looking to buy a house within the next week. They're looking to buy it over the next months or years. So making sure you stay top of mind. What's up, Ryan?
First off, just wanted to thank you for that tidbit about buying them dinner. I did that for previous clients, and they really loved it. I bought them a $60 tree, but they loved the dinner, the $25 dinner more.
Yeah.
But secondly, just on the online lead thing, just so everybody here doesn't waste money with that in the future. You really want to make sure that you're targeting the areas that are going to gross you the most amount. I did, just from my experience, because I've already spent $12,000 this year on online leads. So you definitely want to target those areas that are gonna give you not only interactions, but when you do close the deal, that it's actually going to pay itself off, right? So at first I started out in a lower area, kind of a confined zone where it was, $600,000 and up under, which in California is a little bit lower, and you get all kinds of crazy people. But the minute I went higher, I got less contacts, but the contacts I'm getting are quality leads. So just something to think about so you don't waste money.
Yeah, I mean, online leads are great, but they're also you got to stay consistent with them. They can be very discouraging, but I actually just did an interview, and I have another one right after this for my podcast. There's a guy, he's 19 years old, and all of his business comes from online leads. And he does a killing in it, but he also follows up with them too. And the money is in the follow up. I mean, if you're not following up with anybody, you might as well just not even try. I had somebody that, I mean, I've had a lot of clients that I've closed with and that I work with now that I follow it up with them. I mean, every day for 2 weeks. And you just have to, and especially with online leads. So online leads is great. You just need to make sure that you're paying for good online leads. There's so many different ones out there. There's Realtor.com, there's Zillow Premier Leads, there's OpCity. There's so many different ones, and you just need to make sure you do your research. But of course, that costs a little bit more money. But we'll kind of go into things that don't cost money. Door knocking doesn't cost money. Open houses, they are very little money. But my favorite one, well, I wouldn't say favorite, it's a love-hate relationship with them, is expireds and for sale by owners. So there's different ways you can do expireds and for sale by owners. You can call them, or you can door knock them. For a lot of times, and I need to be better about this, I try to door knock at least one expired a day. To be quite honest with you guys, I haven't been doing that, but I am door knocking today, just not for an expired. Calling on those expireds, calling on those for sale by owners, and taking business from other realtors, whether it's an expired or taking a for sale by owners business. Now, as far as getting the contact information for sale by owners, you don't need to pay for those. You can find those numbers on Zillow. That's free. Now, if you want a dialer, then of course you're going to have to pay for that. If you want expireds, more than likely you're going to have to pay for that. But for sell by owners are completely free. A lot of people are scared to do it because yes, it is a little intimidating, picking up the phone, and a lot of for sell by owners don't want to hear what you have to say, but it's a numbers game. You make a ton of calls. Eventually one's going to turn over. I have a for sale by owner listing appointment next week it's about $1 million 4-story townhome in downtown Houston. And if I would have never called them, I wouldn't have that listing appointment. So it's all a numbers game with them. Another one now is social media. Now social media is not prospecting to me. It can be if you do it a certain way, but to me, social media is more of a presence because I follow all of my clients, past clients, current clients on social media. And I also follow a lot of my prospects on social media. And what I want them to see is I know what I'm talking about. And I know what I'm doing on social media because I post a lot of videos. If y'all follow me on Instagram, I'm probably posting a video every single day or every other day, and it's a reel. And it's usually some type of information. And I'm very active in my story as well. My story is not so much real estate related. I'm honestly just kind of like doing whatever I want in my story. But you can also target through Facebook ads, Instagram ads, and that is more of a form of prospecting because you're reaching out a different audience. But I always say Instagram, Facebook, if you make your a post for the day, don't be like, oh, I prospect today. I wouldn't say that. You just posted a picture on Instagram or a video. But it's definitely, if y'all aren't using social media now, I highly, highly recommend it. Don't be afraid to say like, oh, I don't know what I'm talking about. Just post content, post videos, and you will be very surprised on what kind of business you might pull from it. And a lot of people will actually DM you and say, hey, I watch all your videos all the time. Keep it up. I get those DMs all the time from people I haven't heard from in years. So I highly recommend social media. Another one is database. So every week I send out a database email to my entire database, whether it's past, current, future clients. And it helps them stay top of mind because if you get a lead, they say, hey, Justin, or whatever your name is, I don't want to sell my house for another year. Okay, great. What's a way you can stay top of mind with them without having to call them? And it's doing your weekly database videos. I have a lot of people that I'll talk to that I haven't talked to in a few months, and they go, "Oh, I see your videos every single week." Yeah. We're not ready to sell yet, but maybe in the future. So doing your database videos, making sure that they're seeing emails from you every single week. Again, not really prospecting, but it's a way to stay top of mind to pull clientele or get those leads that you're trying to turn into clients, or so your past clients can also see. Just, I mean, a lot of times you might do a transaction with that person, you might have a great relationship with them, but if you don't keep that relationship and you don't maintain that relationship, why would they ever refer you business? Versus if you're calling them I call all my past clients every month. I'm doing pop buys. I'm doing client appreciation parties. They remember the experience during the transaction. They have no reason not to bring me business. So that weekly database videos is an excellent way to do it. My team lead, he pulls this year. He has all of his business has been from his sphere or his past clients, because he is very consistent with his database emails, staying top of mind, inviting them to all of our client appreciation parties and stuff like that. So I definitely recommend your weekly database videos. Another one, something I want to get into, I just haven't done it yet, is calling on your strategic partners, whether that's a CPA, whether that's a probate attorney, whether that's a divorce attorney, because guess what? If someone's getting a divorce, they more than likely have a home. Someone needs to sell the home. If you have a good relationship with a divorce attorney, who are they going to bring that business to? No one? You, there you go, Ryan. They're going to bring it to you because they know you're a realtor. So calling on all of those partners, and it's simply picking up the phone and typing up divorce attorneys near me. Now, the huge ones, they more than likely have a realtor, but if you just keep making those phone calls, just say, "Hey, I saw that you're a divorce attorney in XYZ. I'm a local realtor. I would love to find some time to sit down with you, take you out for lunch or have a cup of coffee and see how we can learn about each other's businesses and see how we can help each other." You're going to get every so often, "Oh, I'm too busy for that," or "I already have a real estate agent." But again, just like anything in real estate, everything's a numbers game, and you just got to make those calls because eventually someone will say, "Hey, yeah, I'd be more than happy to," because a lot of times they need a realtor to give business to, because they're dealing with divorces and stuff like that. So calling on your referral partners. I have a list of referral partners as far as a roofer. He's actually an investor. I'm doing some business with him as far as that, but I also bring him business for any of my roofing needs too. So all of those referral partners are great to call on too, and you can get clients from as well. Another one is farming. Has anybody heard the word as far as farming in real estate? Does anybody know what that means? Other than Ryan? You're not allowed to answer, Ryan. Anybody? I got to go through here. Okay. So what's farming is it sounds exactly like what a farmer does. When a farmer, he's planting a seed in the ground and he waters it, okay? And then he plants all these seeds and then they start to grow, and then eventually he has a whole piece of land full of whatever he's trying to farm. And that's basically the same concept in real estate. Find a neighborhood, whether it's a neighborhood near you, whether it's a community you live in, because if you could do business in a neighborhood you live in and you don't have to drive 30, 45 minutes away to a listing appointment, you can probably walk there. I wouldn't advise to do that, but you can drive a few minutes away to a listing appointment. If you can be your town's mayor or your town's realtor, that'd be great, because you know how much business would get brought to you if you're known as your neighborhood realtor. So if you farm a community, for me, like I said, I'm going to door knock a community that I want to farm because it's only 5-10 minutes away from me, versus right now, a lot of my business is 30-45 minutes away. So I'm going there and saying, "Hey, by the way, this property right down the road sold for this amount of price. Just wanted to see if you had any thoughts of selling." It's literally as simple as that. Like, I'm straightforward with it. Yeah, have you had any thoughts of selling? A lot of people will say, "No, not interested," or We've had thoughts. If they have, keep talking to them, bring them value, bring rapport, and then ask for their email to stay top of mind. Eventually, if you do it enough, if you can pull one piece of business from it, then it can keep going and keep going. And then they refer you to their neighbors. And then guess what? After you, just like I said for your open houses, if you door knock for coming soon, under contract, closed, that's 3 other times you're going to door knock in that community. They're going to see you door knocking all the time in the neighborhood. And so when they say, oh, I need to sell my house, oh, I see this guy walking around the neighborhood, I have like 10 flyers from him, I already know who to point to. So and a lot of times, again, door knocking doesn't even have to be directly to that neighborhood. They might say, hey, I have no interest in buying or selling a home, but my daughter does. I see you hustling out here every day. I mean, you can pull business through that way, but farming your community is a great way to where eventually, once you become that neighborhood realtor, referrals just start coming in and coming in. That's ultimately the goal. So that's a little bit about farming. Guys, a lot of what I'm touching on right here, I'm not going super deep into because I just don't have a lot of time. I could talk to you an hour about open houses. I could talk to you an hour about cold calling. I could talk to you an hour about database. I just don't have a lot of time to go through all that with you guys. And we can do separate videos on that as well. And then the last one is volunteering. Now it's simply volunteering at an animal shelter, volunteering at a food drive, volunteering at whatever it is. Because again, tell those people there, hey, I mean, conversation comes up. You probably have conversations almost every day, if not every week. And they say, hey, what do you do for a living? You tell them, oh, I'm in real estate. And then a conversation comes up through there. So especially if you're at a volunteer event, you're talking to all these people and that conversation is going to come up. Hey, what do you do for a living? You tell them, oh, I work in real estate. They, especially if they see you volunteering, they're going to go, oh my gosh, like that's someone who I want to work with. They have the same beliefs as me. They're out here volunteering like I am. It's a great way to prospect or to earn business. So something I haven't really done. It's just, but it's definitely a great way to prospect, to meet new people. I say this all the time, and I'll say it again. Prospecting is what? It's conversations. That's all it is. Prospecting is conversations. I think a lot of people hear the word prospecting and they're like, what's prospecting? Like, what's that? And it's simply conversations of just talking to people. And a lot of times, even if they don't ask me what I do, they might be like, oh, like, you're talking to someone at a restaurant or at a coffee shop or in an Uber or whatever it is. And they're like, oh, like, you've had a busy day. I'm like, yeah, I've had a busy day. And then kind of talk about my day, but yeah, well, I work in real estate. So hey, yeah, just been going. I always include it in there because you never know who needs to buy or sell real estate. So those are just a handful of ways of prospecting that I do, or something I need to get better at doing. Again, there's so many different ways. There's a lot of them I didn't mention of things you can do for prospecting. Has anybody have any questions or want to know a little bit more about my experience with prospecting or anything in general?